and I know they changed it.
I just figured out how, Bud.
Good.
So I think it was knowing that your wife did know that helped me realize I could do it. So
that's like ultrasound. It's 90% of it is knowing you can do it.
I have 4 things that I would like to do today, and I just really need to set a timer, or I will talk well through it. The first thing is to reestablish a summary on what we did the last time. The next thing is to maybe spend a little bit of time with you talking about what you call the components of a probe. Are you getting an echo? I'm getting an echo. I'm sorry here.
It's not bad, but where are we?
Hello? I don't know how to turn the volume off. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and leave with that other one. And that was the 4th thing that I never get to anyway, and that's to actually do some, at least making sure you can see it as best you can. Granted, there's going to be some components that that you're going to help me get better on. So number 1 is to review what we were talking about before. Number 2 is to talk a little bit about the features of the probe. Number 3 is to talk about what we're looking at and what the object is, and how we relatively address that object. And then lastly, I wanted to do just a quick dry run to see whether you're willing, at the image quality that I'll be able to stream to you this way, help me refine my imaging, if that falls within what you're willing to do.
Yeah.
And then before it all, John, I need to again do kind of a disclaimer, and that is that I would feel horrible if you were building up a residue of either disappointment for these encounters, or I need it to be something that is, if nothing else, neutral to you. I'd love for it to be, greasing your skids and making life a little bit more enjoyable, because I certainly am learning from it, and I don't want to be presumptuous of your time to do that.
You don't need to be. It's all good.
Well, and you will. The one thing I do, at least, the one thing they spin about UK people is that they always say they're sorry, even if it's just part of their personality. And I think along with that, there may come a little bit of a reluctance to say, I'm done here, Greg. I just don't know if there's the New York City in you to be able to say, this is not going anywhere. So I guess on the front and on the back and via chat, I just need you to know that I would prefer to not abuse that. Are we cool?
I get that completely.
Okay.
I feel the same way when I collaborate. There's no easy way without being psychic.
Okay. Yes, that's a fact. So I will tell you that in my attempt to summarize things for myself, looking at the scanner, the ability to discern objects in this direction is axial resolution. The ability to discern objects in this direction is lateral discernment, or at least discretion. But the issue is if we turned it like this on the sharp edge. See if I can put this in my plane. And there is a distance of viewing. There is a gathering of information on this plane that is the real issue, and that would be called slice width resolution or elevation resolution, or is that right?
I call it slice width.
Okay.
But elevation is a term that's there in the literature.
I like to sound smart, John, but I would rather sound like simple, because I think smarter people are simple anyway. So this slice width, and you did some drawings in the last session that showed that if fibers are at an angle to that, those fibers, ping pong balls, can you summarize the drawing to help me finalize that?
A fiber that is, the way I think of it is, if you had a grid, like in your roadside, the water goes down. We have grids that are all lines in one direction.
Yes.
Yeah. So you have, how did we got a screen I could draw on up here.
So it's, you called share
Share screen, yeah. Share screen, yeah. And whiteboard, yep, there we go. I'm going to share the whiteboard, share computer sound, optimize. Yep, there we go. So sharing the whiteboard, and you have, and where's my drawer? There, draw, and we've got line. So you've got, let us say, those are 2 holes in the road, yeah?
And the road is running parallel with those lines, or are we going?
No, this is just the drain that goes down. This is just a drain. These are 2 holes.
Okay.
And you have a funny water sprinkler that is exactly that shape. So the water just goes in 1 hole.
Okay.
Yeah. And then but it's, when it's at an angle like that, water falls into both holes.
I'm with you.
Yeah. So at that point on your screen, so your ultrasound picture looks like this. And there is a spot there that is reproduced by one of those holes at a certain distance from the probe.
Yes.
Yeah. So the probe measures the time it takes for that signal to come back, and it puts the bright mark just there. Yeah.
Are the drains at 90 degrees to the actual image here? In other words, okay, so they're not vertical, they're actually horizontal, but we would be looking at them.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you.
That picture's looking down.
Yes.
On the probe.
Yes.
From above.
Yes.
So those are the 2. And imagine, and the idea is that signal comes back. I'm thinking of water going into a drain from some sort of weird thing there, and the water goes into 2 separate drains.
Yes.
So that dot, that line there, is actually fills 2 dots, one next to the other.
Yes.
Because at an angle.
Yes, yeah. But would it be wider because there are 2 dots?
Yes, what you see on the screen is 2 dots, where what there is in reality is something that is thin.
Okay, and so instead of the actual amount of water, or the reflectivity in one drain, I have shared with 2 drains less water.
Yes.
So if I would turn to where it would be in one drain, it would be brighter and better resolution.
Yes, it would be brighter and a smaller spot.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, not better resolution.
Yeah, well, that is better resolution.
Oh,
if something
yes. But not brighter, not more brilliant.
It would be more brilliant, and it would be smaller.
Yes, and I want that. So when
that gives you your contrast.
When you came on the Zoom a bit ago, you saw me playing with the flexor hallucis. Which is the thumb? Hallucis or pollicus?
Pollicis.
Okay, flexor pollicis longus. Sorry for that. Whatever. I was attempting to go short axis on it, and in my mind, I would turn it, and I would do this type of thing as I was attempting to, I think, play with this to see whether or not the fibers would have less punctate properties and would become more blurry. Because if I'm not mistaken, if I turn that 6 degrees, the resolution clarity doubles. Cheapens 2 times.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, and that's a ballpark figure,
yeah.
and it will be different at different parts of the screen. But yes, in principle.
Incredible. I never even, I guess I was always trying to worry, like we said before, about anisotropy and having the ping pong balls or whatever directly strike that object and coming straight back, or in your analogy, the mirror, with a child seeing itself instead of angling off of that.
Yeah.
But I did not know this.
Yeah.
And
you do not notice this. If your structure is large and compared to the resolution, then you do not notice it, except in the very fine detail.
Okay.
It is, if you're looking at a structure that is a millimeter wide,
yes,
or then whether you're getting 0.2 or 0.4 at the edge makes a little bit of a difference. If you're looking at something that is 2 or 3 millimeters wide, then you barely notice the difference. Your picture is better the more accurate you are. But when you start to look at things that are sub 1 millimeter, that are significantly less than a millimeter, that's when it matters. When it matters a lot.
John,
yeah,
I don't in my head even think I can see inside of 1 millimeter. I have flown 150s. I've never been in these wonderful airplanes that you guys drive, and
but
so to me, it's like you're refining below 1 millimeter. And this is what shocks me. You said, above 1 millimeter or 2 millimeters, this might not make a big difference. And when I'm imaging with these utility, F-150, I will tell you, I don't know that I actually ever in my wildest dreams allowed my brain to refine down. I'm thinking a fraction of a centimeter. If I can see a millimeter, and I know as you're taking a look at fluid in bursas and between spaces, and as you're delivering the bezel of an injection to it, that's imperative to you, John. And I can see why when I was on that call with 30 some people over there with Lau and Myers and whoever, and they were all talking about ultra portables. And I was looking at the eyes of these people thinking that they would be excited about it. John, I think I just don't. I'm worried that I'm driving a big truck across farmland, and you're used to driving on the road noise that you use is so low.
No, the opposite. You have to work hard. Their machines are doing the job, part of this job for them. Yours is the machine that has to do it, and this is how you get the best out of it.
Yeah. There's no question about the fact that I'm hungry to be far more skilled up here, and as it relates to here. I'm not saying it's not valuable. I'm saying it's even more valuable with what I have, because maybe I can bring it down to 1 millimeter, and you're saying now this might not be less. So to me,
you try that scanner again.
You mean with you?
Yeah, put it on now and just show me what it's like.
I'm going to need to do a couple things, John.
Yeah.
Let me just see. I need to grab the invite because I need to know.
Can you not do it on a share screen?
So I'm using 2 computers. I have to use my iPad.
Yeah.
So what I need to do is I need to enter this number, the one at the very top, 991.
991.
Can you read that?
3675 6128.
6128. Now if I join, it should bring me up. Use internet. And I need to mute something so I'm not hearing me double. And if I share content, oh, you have to unshare yours.
Okay, yep. Yeah, so how I go, oh yeah, no, stop sharing. Yep, there you go.
And now I go share screen, yep. And I go to here. And I'm going to then go to, take it to here. I'm going to go up to here, join. Oh, this cat, John, is driving me nuts. We've got a house cat that thinks it needs to be scratched every, I don't know what. So I will try to ignore it.
I have 4 of those here, but they're not cats.
Let me see if I can get rid of this over here and go. Why is this not connecting? Sorry. Join. And I'm sure it's something I'm not doing right here. Oh, there we go. I don't know if you can see anything, John.
It's thinking about it. Yep. Okay. Right.
So the shallowest this will go, and I've got to push pretty hard.
Yeah.
Is 1 centimeter.
Yeah. Drop it down to 2.
I'm going to drop it to 2. Hold on a second. Cat.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. See, you don't lose anything at 2 centimeters. A lot of these scanners, they get their best resolution, best image presentation at 2 centimeters, and so you don't lose anything.
Are you seeing
shorter?
Are you seeing me in any of your camera angles? Because I'm not seeing me.
Yeah, I see you loud and clear. Yeah.
Do you see me holding a probe?
I do.
And do you see the actual image?
Yes.
Oh, okay. As I'm now rotating on those fibers.
Yeah.
I am, and I'm also, these are words. You can see, I'm just saying clockwise rotation and counterclockwise rotation right now. Yeah. And I'm also doing what I call wag, which is kind of like the back of a dog, wag.
Yeah.
And I'm also doing heel toe. Oh my goodness. While I'm doing this with goo in my hands, I don't know if you're able to see, I got a cat right in my field. Sorry about that.
Just pop your hand out of sight, so you can pop your hand out of sight so you're comfortable.
Okay.
Because we can optimize the taking the pictures on another day.
Yeah, this works for you.
Yeah.
But this is short axis, right?
If you get the best short axis picture and then freeze it.
When you say best short axis picture, you have to understand I'm trying to impress my teacher here. So
just stop somewhere where you're short on. I think these. Yeah, so you freeze that.
All right.
Yeah. So with your calipers, if you measure, I don't know, you can't see my pointer, can you? On the image, that would be great.
If you now share your screen, if you go to yours and instead of going whiteboard, share your screen, then I can see you move your mouse.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be seeing it on your picture.
Oh, I think I would. I think it would, as long as it's on the center. You're probably right. So I think what you're saying is.
No, if you actually,
I can do calipers. I can do this.
Yeah. So if you measure, just between, there's a tiny bit of just about half a centimeter to the right of your D1.
Are you saying here?
No, there, just to the right of your D1.
Do another one, you mean?
No, just look. There's a tiny fascial plane just to the right of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're saying
about 1 centimeter away from D1.
Like here.
No, half a centimeter away. The other way, the other side.
Oh.
You see? There, just above that, just slightly above there, there's a fascial plane just there, tiny little bright line.
Am I on it?
Yep, you're right on it. Now, if you were to measure that plane.
You mean just measure that white plane?
Yeah, if you can zoom this picture, you use your zoom function right up. If you measure that thickness of that white plane, that's around about the resolution of your scanner. So go up a little bit higher, a little bit closer, because you're being too unkind, yeah?
So 0.178.
So and actually you've been ungenerous because you can bring the other cursor slightly lower. So you're getting something in the region of certainly under 0.2 millimeter on the scanner.
Wow. Well, again, I'm not trusting myself to discern that much, which is
No.
being generous with that amount.
But what I mean is you've got it isn't, the limitations on your scanner are not the spatial resolution in the plane of the picture. The issue you will have, the things that will compromise your image are things like artifact, slice thickness, and signal to noise.
I don't know what that last one means, but I learned slice thickness from you.
Yeah,
and
slice thickness. Signal to noise is, for me, it's why when I'm teaching ultrasound, and everyone else who teaches that I ever come across, better than me, worse than me, they always encourage people to use the highest frequency possible. I always try and get my students to turn the frequency down, because I think the scanners often do better, have more signal coming back to noise coming back based on lower frequency, because lower frequencies are affected less by artifacts.
Okay, well, here we go. This is a L15.
Yes.
I have their L7.
Yes.
It also could do this, and it may be of interest to be able to do this same thing, but I think what you're saying is it really doesn't matter. Greg has to have an understanding of what's important to see under 1 millimeter. Because to me, I've been just driving in the general direction of the gate at the end of my field, whereas again, I think the path down to a walking path. That's a difference of mind, John.
Yeah, you've got to know that it's there to be seen,
right?
And your machine, the quality of your machine will limit that, but it will limit it less, I think, if you scan more aggressively.
Yes, knowledgeably, and knowing how to refine the image this way, and so I want to learn. And one of the things, I guess, I want to get my head around signal to noise, because I just kind of glossed over it when you went to frequency, because I know I've got artifacts because they're in every textbook, and I don't think I understand them entirely, but I know the words for them. Would be reasonable at times to spend on why there's refractory shadowing and all that kind of stuff, but I don't want to get so deep that it's just not important to the everyday, take the device and look at your coworker or a patient. Yes. But I do want to have this signal to noise. Is there a better way that you can either take the screen and show it to me, or use words to help me understand that?
It really just, it affects all imaging modalities, but ultrasound.
Is it like contrast?
Yes.
Is it like just a contrast on the old TV, or on any image management? Like,
I think it's a fairly amorphous word. There's a lot of noise in your picture. There's a lot of and so whether whether something is a little bright or a lot bright, there's a lot of things that affect that. There's a lot of signal coming in from different directions and from parts of the picture.
When you say noise to me, I paranoid say he's saying that there's a lot of static or a lot of just general yuck in this picture. This would not
in the picture,
have
in the signal that comes back to the scanner. The signal that returns to the scanner, but all those, we think of the pulse as going in a straight line and not being affected by anything until it hits the target. Well, it's affected by a lot of things as it goes through the picture, and also the beam doesn't all go out straight forward. Some parts of the beam go out completely to the side.
When you are looking at a picture, John,
Yeah.
are you seeing, man, I gotta turn this thing off. I've got this crazy echo. I'm sorry. Are you
Yeah.
seeing, um, when you're looking at a picture, are you, hopefully there it doesn't echo, your mind is not seeing a plane. Your mind is seeing dynamic tennis balls striking these objects, and you're trying to manage
Oh, no,
these
that's
tennis
worse.
balls.
It was fine for me before.
Oh, crud. It's worse now?
It's better now. It was worse 2 seconds ago. Give me a sound check.
Hello, hello, hello.
That's good. 5.
I'm going to remove that guy. And I'm going to then come back to just you and me talking. Are you okay with that, John?
That's
Now,
perfect.
can you hear me all right now?
Loud and clear.
All right.
Yeah.
I guess what I think is interesting is that
suggest, can you change the frequency on your probe?
no, I can
No.
only by going depth. So I use the center. They use the center of the screen to vary my frequency. Now, again, I'll bet that maybe there's a 3-finger hold here for 5 seconds, and maybe there's the ability to do that. I don't know about that.
There's the way I would show my students on is to look at the back of the shoulder, the posterior view of the glenohumeral joint, at the frequency they normally scan at. And then I would get them to drop the frequency. But you could do it equally by just using the other probe.
Yeah.
And you'll see you get a much better picture.
You get a much better picture if I would go from the high frequency one to the, or the 15 to the 7. At least,
Yes.
And I know they're multi things and they're using a whole bunch of harmonics and all that kind of stuff. I will try that. I would like to try that with your critical eye if it ever comes up to where I can easily do that in front of us.
What happens though is sometimes, and the contrast between the two is probably too big. But if I'm looking at something like a Morton's neuroma, this is a very shallow target. But I still get a better picture often with a lower frequency. Now your 7 may be too low to get that, to see that advantage. But if you were on a more conventional scanner, what I would do is, even though it's very superficial, and normally people automatically go for the higher frequencies, because the sole of the foot is very attenuative. So when you look at plantar fasciitis, in your older male, high mileage or high weight patient, or who has drunk and smoked for large parts of their lives, so there's been lots of low-grade inflammation in all their soft tissues, so there's a lot more fibrosis in the soft tissues. In those patients, I'm straight in with the lowest frequency, because the spatial resolution is still reasonable at 7 meg, as you've noticed. You can still see all but the smallest structures, and a lot more signal comes back.
This is fabulous to me. And the fact that I have a building number of minutes with you, and knowing what your hitting points are, this is one of those things. And I guess in the real rubber meets the road type of way, when Clarius first came out with that 15 megahertz scanner, I was taking a look at plantar fascia, and I could barely look through that. And I pulled out their old scanner, which was a 7 megahertz, and it was great. I could measure, I could see the fibers, and I contacted the engineering, and they got on and they looked at it. Oh, they said, we just got to modify, blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden they made the change. And so when you hit foot, I don't ever have to worry about that. And what I'm thinking they must have done is take the 15 megahertz away, and they probably put me on 10, or put the scan on 10, so I can get through this big, thick wad of fiber on the surface.
Yes.
See, that's just amazing to me. And maybe they should, and this is, they're open-minded there. Maybe they should give me the ability to use 2 fingers on the screen, and I can then begin to modify frequency, because with elastography, there are some codes with the way you can touch to be able to do those kind of things. And if I can modify it, that would be a value, you're saying. I will say that the 15 megahertz is really, I believe, a 5 to 15.
Yes.
And the 7 is like a 3 to 7, or 3 to 10. Maybe it's something like that. And
that's roughly how they build them. And so that's what they do. And on a more powerful scanner, where they not more powerful scanner, a scanner where they give you the more options. What they do is they push the middle frequency, because these don't run at 15 megahertz. They run at between 8 and 18, or if it's a very broadband, a very good scanner would run the better quality the build of the scanner, the wider the number of frequencies the crystal can vibrate at the same time. So basically, how short they can make the pulse is one of the factors. And what you're getting is actually a pulse, and pulses aren't single frequencies; they are a broad band of frequencies. And what you do is you just push it down towards the lower end of the spectrum that crystal can do, or up to the top of what it does. And that's all the thing is doing, is it's vibrating it more slowly or faster, and that has the effect of more signal goes through anything that is stopping the signal. If anything is, if the conditions are poorer and more of the sound is being absorbed, it doesn't matter whether that's because it's deep or whether it's because it's thick and fibrous. You want a lower frequency because you get more signal back, and you get lots of noise anyway. So to win that battle, you need as much of the good stuff coming back. And that's the short answer.
So far, John, in the four periods of time that I have had with you, I've already learned a new focus when I'm simply managing the probe, which is to think in a third axis of orientation, to refine things. And today, especially, your casual discussion of sub-millimeter looking is so far onto the side of expectation from myself. Even the fact that you saw that I mean, you were always saying, "Oh, be nicer to yourself," and all I was seeing was the beginning of a fuzzy white spot, and your mind was already starting to go, "No, go to 50% white, Greg," and I'm going, "But that's just a blur there, man," and so you can tell I was seeing only the big trees. And so to me, those are important things as I try to get into the head of somebody who does this on a regular basis. I'm looking for periosteal planes that are like this, or big bags of black. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But when you look at the median nerve, and you see the difference between the median nerve and the tendons.
Yes.
Like architecturally.
Yes.
That's you using sub-millimeter resolution.
Well, you're kind. That's me looking at a darker area that does not use anisotropy as much because it has a fascicle instead of fibers.
No, look at. Well, do you have a quick look again with your scanner?
I will, but I will tell you.
If you're seeing the black dots.
Yes.
Then that's, and you measure the size of those black dots.
Oh my goodness! I would never, John. I as of yet, you're helping me think I can. But to me, just measuring the outside of that darker area amongst those brighter areas of tendon, that alone is something that I would go, wow. And you're actually saying, oh no, you can get down to the fascicles. You can actually take a look at the, things inside the nerve. And to me, again, this is eye-opening. I just need to be a far more refined scanner than, so that's the median nerve. you're saying, well, wait a minute, there's 20% of that median nerve that's hyperechoic, or no, that's brighter.
Yes. And this is where you're at. As your contrast resolution gets better, as your spatial resolution, your contrast resolution gets better, then more subtle things become more meaningful. And that's kind of where we want to go.
When you said were you saying Greg's eyes, or were you saying my hardware, or both?
Both. It's both. The eye only perceives.
Yes.
The brain knows.
Yes.
Which is why we try to get people to scan on the best machine they can rather than the worst, because the idea that you get better by working on a tough scanner is not true, because you don't get to see it's harder to see the detail, and therefore it's harder to appreciate it. Once you can appreciate the detail, my students go and borrow my old scanner, which is not as good as the stuff they scan now, but they find what they could find on the new scanner.
Yeah, that is so much against what I want to say, John. I as I know you may have even heard me say this before, as you were probably putting fingers in your ears and going la la la. I always had the give me the Pinto with a stick shift and let me have my kids learn on a hill with gravel. And once they do that, then they'll really enjoy what it's like to get into that quiet ride.
As with all things, everything you ever say is always true in part.
You're far more generous. That's why you're a good teacher. I'd be going, that's just a bunch of baloney.
No, but it isn't. You know full well, when you have to work hard to get something, you develop a skill to do it.
Right.
But there are multiple layers, and that's why, if we were running a course, not the basic training course, you get people starting on any scanner they get. There are limits to the ones I go, but it's horses for courses. If this is what people can have, and it's at a respectable price, and it's usable in situations where more conventional scanners are not, then it's a good tool. It then is up to us to try to train people to be able to use them at their best.
Can you help me understand horses for courses?
Horses for courses. It's it's an English expression. It's you don't use your Ferrari on suburban roads. Where they've got speed bumps.
Certain horse for certain courses.
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. No, that's But what you're saying is, if you could train your kids to drive the Ferrari, they would at least understand horsepower better, and they would understand handling better, so that when they then go back to their Pinto, they can still make it to Safeway. I'm just trying to.
It's all these things. Okay. I know the perspective you come from, and I don't disapprove of it. It just, for me, it always has to be in perspective.
Yeah.
The scanning you've got, and I've never driven it, so I don't know what its limitations are, but it has limitations. It looks like the frame rate is quite slow just from that thing you did there, and it might well be possible that can be improved on by turning off some features.
I would like to send you my 7 megahertz one if you're willing to get it, because I don't want to put something into your hands, but I mean, yes, I do. I want to have you drive this Pinto, and I want you to be able. I'm sorry.
Why can't the company send me one?
I haven't approached that with them because I don't want to be in their and to me, if I can send this to you and me, then anyone watching these would know, we're not pumping them up, but they probably could.
But I will ask them. I will ask them to have a look.
No. I will ask them. If you're going to ask them, I've got an in with the people who are there. I've just, I would one day, if you believed in Clarius the way I do, but remember, I've driven them most of the time. But if you truly believe in them like them, I don't mind even having some monetization if they're willing to. But again, I don't want to cheapen our content to make it seem like that's the case. But it really would matter to me so that you could understandingly criticize them and help refine their image.
Yeah.
Did I interrupt you with something, John? You were going on something there? I'd forgotten.
I don't think so.
I do want to spend some time just talking about a probe, not necessarily the Clarius one. Each probe has some way of designating up.
Yeah.
How do you refer to that? When to me, that's the footprint I'm showing you.
Yeah.
The indicator point, I call toe, and the bottom one I call heel.
Yeah.
So when you heel toe, you do this type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I used to work for a lady who would routinely press the button on a standard scanner which changes that round, and she would leave it like that, and it would confuse everybody. So it would turn this picture around, and everyone would go and say, well, what can we do? It has never bothered me because I pay no attention to it. And that comes despite my radiology background, where they have everything going in one direction.
Can we talk about that just briefly? Because I want to get back to why it doesn't matter to you. I think it's strength of mind, and you're making the rest of us feel even worse.
No, it's a problem we have with all our with the students. Particularly, there are still some people around the world who teach that the proximal is always on the left-hand side of the screen, and distal is always on the right-hand side of the screen, and right is always on the left, and left is always on the right. And
I've even heard anterior is always on the left side.
Yes.
Or at least here. But tell me your take on that, John.
And that works when you are in a CT scanner.
Okay.
And that's how the rule is. So everyone knows what they're looking at it, and you're seeing exactly the same view as if you are stood at the bottom of the bed, looking up at a patient lying supine in the anatomical position. And that's why it's always referred to that in all the static systems of radiology. And they always try and have that orientation when they do that. As soon as you are in a position where the observer does not have that perspective, then you have a choice. You can either maintain artificially that perspective, so always have proximal at the left-hand side of the screen, and have the observer have to use a lot of his mental capacity to turn the picture around in his head, or to figure out how he moves, or you abandon that what do they call it, protocol. And my choice has always been that you abandon the protocol, because you are because what you lose, everyone can learn to scan with right on the left I scan shoulders from standing behind. And so when I'm looking at my scanner at the picture, I want right to be on the right and left to be on the left, because that's my perspective, because I'm come round to the other point of view. And the same is true when I'm scanning the foot. If I'm sat beside the patient, can you see my hand scanning the foot there with my right hand there, scanning it as if I was scanning someone's tummy, then that orientation would be true. But I actually, most of the time, I go down to the end of the bed, come around the foot, and scan the foot with the foot hanging off the end of the bed. And I'm actually looking often from the other side past the foot onto the scanner. in which case I want the perspective to be the other way around. And making it that way, having the flexibility to change which way round the probe is, allows you to make intuitive movements with the probe rather than conscious ones. And as you become...
Go ahead.
And so you then have more mental capacity to observe what else is happening in the picture.
I completely understand what you're saying, and you being the scanner, and you being involved in monitoring your performance from your point of view, that makes perfect sense.
Yes.
If I were to at any time, without sound and only seeing the image, do a still shot, and you did follow protocol that involved imaging, I would be able to know if you were imaging on right or left. I'm just trying to say from a person who would be giving directions.
Yes.
It's very difficult to then, from an immediate static picture, be able to say, the English or the twist that they should be doing to that particular image or to that probe needs to be a clockwise rotation focusing on a certain structure. I would have to be, if I were that third party proctoring or mentoring somebody scanning, I would have to have that same oneness of where am I and where is the scanner, and that's the disconnect for me. I don't want to give up. I mean, I'm not saying I'm worried about giving up naming certain movements, but it's difficult for me if I were to ask you if you were scanning a foot right now and all I had was your dynamic image. I would have to say, now, what did you do with that probe as you were short axis on the distal biceps tendon and you brought it all the way around to where it attached to the radius? And that's the kind of...
That will be very easy in practice.
Okay. Well, you've done this. You've taught enough people without putting your hands on the probe and saying, do it this way, using words, you feel that can be done.
Yes, I think with the common understanding we're working to develop as to what you're trying to achieve as you scan, these problems are actually very, very small.
Oh, okay.
Because I think what matters is what we will be trying to do is actually relatively straightforward from what's coming across here. What we're trying to do is guide you as to what you are trying to achieve. The actual directions of rotation will be obvious if you are not. The important thing is that you know what we're doing. So what the obvious example that's coming into my head, whether it's appropriate or not, is following the biceps up into the joint in short axis. So you'll be driving you'll have the probe and you'll be driving up coming up the biceps like you're following a drain pipe up the side of a house, and you'll be making sure that it's exactly in the middle of the screen. You'll be making sure that it's moving, and then as you get to the top of the as you pass the lesser tuberosity, what will happen is you will detect a slight shift in the fibers medially, and so as you move the probe up, I would maybe drag you back and say you didn't make a movement. You allowed the fibers to move on the screen without responding. So you come back, you just shift a slight back to where they go in a straight line. So the fibers, all the time you are watching and you are looking for the internal architecture of the tendon to stay in the same point on the screen. And you'll go down and the fibers will move back to the middle. So if you think of my face as the tendon, what happens is you coming up the biceps and my face sits where it is and you're going higher and higher and higher, and then slowly that happens. And so you're going like this, and then that happens. And what happens is that as you get to that point, And I know that the guys on this side of my face are in the inside lane of that running track, and the guys on this side of my face are on the outside. And you know that because my face got wider and went slightly to the side at that point. So you go back there and you come up again, and this time these guys, they run a little bit faster around the outside because they're on the outside. And that's and that will actually be, we'll talk about clockwise and anti-clockwise, but it's the guys on the lateral side running faster around the track to keep up.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's such an interesting approach your mind takes with how the image is changing, and your perspective is, what is the structure doing under my probe? And
Yes.
my perspective is, how do I tell these guys, look, you're going to have to rotate medially as you go up. If you're on the right side or on both sides, you're going to have to rotate medially, or that face is not going. I mean, one guy is going to run faster than the other. It's that kind of stuff that I honestly think maybe the best thing to do would be to put it into practice. Would be to say, hey, Greg, let me tell you how to manage that image, because I'm putting together, and I got 10 more minutes of you. I'm putting together a case study on a lateral collateral ligament that was torn or partially torn in a skier. And I have the image where I have the biceps femoris going into the head of the fibula, and I have a good image of that. And then I swing it so that it comes over from the head of the fibula to the lateral femoral condyle, and I see the popliteal groove, and I'm able to come over, and then I refine the lateral collateral ligament, or fibular collateral ligament, or whatever you guys call it over there. So to me, as I was coming down, I was just getting all excited about saying, what I would tell what I would tell John is, all right, we're going to take the heel, and we're going to then fan it counterclockwise on the head of the fibula until we line up with the fiber structures on, we span the lateral femoral condyle. We can see the architecture of the popliteal groove, and we can see the popliteal tendon is oblique to us, and so the fibers are a certain way, and we will refine that image, keeping cognizant of the importance of having both the footprint directly parallel. To me, I was watching this and I'm going, oh man, to me to say, let's take the scanner down in long axis onto, until you see that the bright structure of the head of the fibula, try to refine the fibers, and then move that anterior while coming up, and then fan do you understand? I'm trying to work out that I don't, it's those words that I know when all of a sudden the fibers are not the detail you want, and I'm hoping you're going to say, look, use the slice width to refine that image as you then wag the probe a certain way. And that's what I'm desperate to get from you. If I don't even know what horses for courses means, it's difficult for me to go, oh no, I'm going to lose this guy. He's going to hate his time with me because I'm just a blog head.
Communication is everything.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Anyway,
what we want to do is say we want to play around with it. We want to do it. We want to do it. We want to look at the perspective. We want to look at trying to do it without me seeing your hand.
I'm going to get a scanner into your hands because to me, if you're willing to make use of, they have what's called Clarius Live, and these devices have accelerometers in them, and you'll be able to see this structure on your screen. Do this, and do this. And as I'm doing the image, you're going to be able to see exactly how I'm holding the probe. And again, I'm not trying to sell you on Clarius, John. I'm simply trying to say if we can both have the same tool, we could really teach at least the best image that we can. I'm going to get you one. You watch.
Yeah. Okay. be good.
Do I have your home address? Do I have whatever it takes to get a device to you?
Let's look.
If not, you can text it or something.
Yeah, I was going to say I'd put it on here, but there's no. I might as well do it on. What have we got?
WhatsApp or something. If you can throw it to me on WhatsApp or any other way of communicating, or on here, I can take a look back at it.
Yeah, but it's easier if it's just on your WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Road. I don't use my address at all. Berkshire, UK, and the postcode, which is the most important thing, RG41 1 November Bravo. I'll just put a little. Sorry, so that's just coming to you now as we speak. Yep.
Yep, I got it on my watch right now. As soon as you hit it, that's craziness. What kind of a Jetson world do we live in?
Can I just try something? Can I try something?
Yeah.
I just want to share something with you. I'm just going to see if I can see. I'm going to share my screen as my second screen with you, and I just want to see what happens when I show you some pictures.
Hey, yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to see how is it going, because I'm not seeing what you're seeing. I'm just
it's fabulous. It's fabulous. We had the dynamics of you going into abduction or checking impingement.
That's an unstable second MTP joint. There's a bit of a problem with the plantar plate.
Yes, I could watch these all day, man. With you narrating this, I could go from one. I could go from one to the other, and it would be edifying to me, big time.
Well, that's what I'm. You know, Niek from Holland.
Yes.
Well, I'm meant to be. There's a tiny little meniscal cyst there. I wanted. He was asking for some images, and I don't want to send him millions and millions of them. It'd take me forever. So I'm going to try and do it. Just show him the sort of stuff I've got, just on here. And I just thought that actually there might be some value in, someone like me who's got a library of 1 million pictures.
Yes, and
you might.
I think that there needs to be a certain amount of, you're the teacher, man. I want to open my mouth, and you're the fire hydrant, and you just jam it in my brain. So what is moving there?
That is an inguinal hernia.
Oh. Yeah, see, and I need to have you pointing at stuff and basically saying, here's the spermatic cord, here's the.
But you can see my my marker on the screen, can't you?
Yes.
So you can see the arrow on the screen.
Yep,
so that this I think has merit for a teaching tool. What's this? This is indirect, relatively immobile hernia. So this was one that was tricky to call. So these are the inferior epigastric vessels. There,
with short axis on them.
Yeah, short axis on the inferior epigastrics there, and then the hernia is just pushing up there. There's not very much movement. It's not a great video, but let me see what's this. This is a large lipoma with a single vessel. So this is all a lipoma here. There's just
why are you screening this? Just to look for a big center mass that has really a lot of Doppler activity, or you just?
No, that's just. If I turn when I'm looking at a mass, then I'm.
Those look like lymph nodes.
These are just some lymph nodes in the groin that were a little bit enlarged.
Hey, come on, man! You got to be impressed. I at least knew what your lumps and bumps were.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm just trying to think which. Oh, right. Sorry, I'm showing you pictures from a day when I work with a not so good scanner, so I'll go back to some better pictures.
No, don't humiliate me, man.
No, this is all right. This is. I just want to know really what the best, because what the best way to show this stuff is. There's a little bit of calcification within a supraspinatus tendon. You see?
Yep.
There's me coming along about to stick a big needle in it.
You're my hero. You're my hero, John. Did I tell you that? I need to know your age, John. Are you 40? What are you? 42? 45? What are you?
Flattery is your major suit.
No, no. It's not. I don't ever want to be thought that way, because then you're not going to take me serious ever. I wasn't trying to flatter you. What is your birth date?
I'm 56 tomorrow.
Oh yes, tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
John, happy birthday, man! No wonder you didn't want to chat on Friday.
Yeah.
We're not what are you going to be doing?
I'm going to be homeschooling the kids.
So tell me this: Are we talking? Wait. Let me see. Is this the adductor group onto the pubis?
No.
Oh, come on, man.
What does I just have to have a look myself? What does it say there? That box. Mild tenosynovitis and diffusion. I haven't actually said what it is. I think that is probably. Why didn't I label that? Normally I label what it is. Now that's the thumb. I'm pretty sure that's.
Oh, see, you're looking at. Isn't that funny? Because you're over here looking at centimeters on the right. I didn't even look at that because I thought you were like doing a sports hernia, and that would have been 3 centimeters or so to be able to see that. Interesting.
No, that looks like the abductor pollicis longus, where it splits up to attach around the base of the metacarpal. This is an OA hip.
Oh yes.
And that's the one we just seen. This supraspinatus impingement, I think. Did I say that? Yeah. Really thickened superficial fibers of the supraspinatus. And a bit going on there and it pinching as it goes under the acromion. What's this one? Tenosynovitis and diffusion. Is that? Yeah, so that's what?
Is that under one of the pulleys?
Yeah. I normally label them a little bit better than this. Yeah. Yes, so that's a trigger finger, I think.
Yeah.
Not sure why I didn't call it that. I must have been having half day. This thickened bursa. Normally I'm very good. I try and keep as much information there. So here the bursa looks a little bit unhappy.
This is absolutely invaluable. I could do the whole hour of you just doing this, John.
I've got hours and hours of them.
No, but this is so incredibly relevant to me because my eyes are seeing things, and when you say what they really are and the pathology, I'm edifying mine to either cheer to say, yeah, you're right, or saying, I'm saying to myself, so yeah, this is valuable to me. I think a component of these chats have to include 15 minutes of me just watching you do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think. That's why I guess I've been collecting these things forever, thinking that they must have a use.
Well, just doing this one after the other. I'm not the only one out here that's just desperate to have the confirmation of a master scanner.
Yeah. Well, it's image. I've got to find that's what I wanted to see is how this actually relates to.
No, don't edify it so that your good ones are used. I want to see that you're human now and then, John.
Yeah.
I don't want you to pull out only the 10 best.
No, but I mean, as I have this in massive libraries,
okay.
Gig after gig of them, and but it's finding a way that I can pull out stuff that so you're not watching me go through. This is a de Quervain's, and getting the right sort of. They've got to all be in a file one after the other. So you don't have to watch me dig around. There you've got the intersection. There's the de Quervain's.
Yes.
And you're running up and you're seeing the tendon insert there.
I'll tell you what's fascinating, John. I'm actually going down a little bit microscopically since our talk today, because I would have seen that as a grayscale mass and my eyes are now beginning to see some of the fibers inside, and you're going, are you kidding me? I've been counting the fibers all this time, and I have not been. What did you say? That was a nice way of saying that you can only see what you know is there. What you
know is there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's full thickness tear supraspinatus, biceps over the tubercle. But it's knowing how to navigate through the computer.
Yep.
Because I don't see what you're seeing. You know, it's.
Oh, you don't see that?
Oh, I can see it, but I don't know how the perspective is coming across over Zoom. So this is an interesting one, I think, when you're looking at.
Hey, John. This whole video will be posted inside of the next half hour. All you have to do is go onto my Echo Health channel, and you'll be able to see exactly how I'm seeing it.
Well, actually, that might be a problem, because I'm showing you videos where you can see where they were taken.
Oh, well, then I won't put it up.
Don't post this.
Yeah,
bit
I won't.
yet.
Okay.
But that's exactly the thing. If you want to do that, then I need to.
I'll go completely private.
Just cut these. All it means is I just need to edit the movies that I show.
No, I just won't show anything. I don't want you to work any harder than you have to. I won't.
No. This is something, though, that I think is useful. This is something I would like to be able to use as a teaching tool.
Yes.
And what I need to do is stay within the law in terms of what's called GDPR. So I need to. So if I'm going to use these as a teaching tool, I need to edit them differently.
Okay, you do what you need to do, but I just don't want this to become so burdensome that one morning you wake up and say, yeah, I'm done here.
Well, no, the thing is, if you switch to this one, this is one where I have edited it already.
Yes.
So anything that I take a lot of, if I take a long clip, then I edit it. So this is lovely. You see the biceps. You see that biceps coming right next to it. What I have to do is, if we're doing something that is going to go out, I have to make sure that anything that I show you on that clip doesn't have the details on top.
You also will have my word that if you do, because I don't want you to not show me random stuff like you were doing, I just won't put it up. I won't put it up.
If it's got the thing on the top, if it's got the detail on the top, then but it's much easier, because a lot of my stuff is edited to be shown. But I just have to, and it only takes a couple of seconds to clip them down. But
it also takes, I can put a black spot over the top of anything that's there, and I can immediately take that out too. And that's for the whole video, providing you don't change the perspective of what you're showing.
Yes, in which case we want to think about what size the box is, whether there's any other format where you can make this, which is why I've got it on my biggest screen.
Yeah.
But it's how do we get it so that we can show videos?
Yes.
And maybe I wonder whether there's a way of me being able to show a box rather than the whole screen on Zoom.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, you mean while you're demonstrating on Zoom?
I could maybe control the size of the box.
Yeah, I'll look into that too, because again, I'm wanting to protect your time, because I'm wanting. Well,
the thing is, this is we were doing the same thing yesterday, where my wife is is setting things up so she can teach the police online, and we were looking at.
Now I'm going to have to ask, what in the world is that lady? Is she going to be teaching them IT stuff or takedown? Does she disarm you or something?
Maybe, but she's Christine's a police officer, but
I didn't know that.
But she works at the college now.
Okay.
Which is much more child friendly in terms of a job than busting the beat. And obviously with COVID-19, they're sending them all home, and they're teaching them over Zoom, Teams, and things like that. So but they're just starting to do that. So we were playing around with, which is why I was curious about the sharing screens, and we can share 2 screens, but we haven't figured out how to do that yet. So this is all what, for when you say what's in it for me, this is what's in it for me.
Okay.
It isn't about you say it's not my time. These are the important things to learn.
Okay. I will stop being paranoid, I hope.
Yeah.
because I think it could get old. I just have your word that you will confront if I
Yeah.
take too much, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll just start listening. All right,
If
bud.
if you take too much, we'll organize for you to take less.
Okay.
Just as simple as that.
That sounds good. And John, have a fabulous birthday. Let me do my part on seeing what we can do with Clarius, because I need to put something in your hands so that I can see you doing some stuff. But what you just showed me in the last 10 minutes about what you have here,
Yeah.
I could watch that with you editing or with you narrating that. It would
Yeah.
it would really help me.
I think I would like to do this. This is something I think that has real value, but
It does.
I don't know how to get it to people, and that's something that I can learn. Is what you have value, how I need to do it so that you get the best value out of it.
And that we have a shortening period of time as every Tom, Dick, and Harry are going to be doing this. You have a wealth of library. We just need to, we need to see how does a person present that in enough stuff to monetize it for you, John. But right now, I know you're giving me that because all the way back to Chris, saying that you gave it away for free. I don't want to be an abuser either. I think
that's I have always got back more than enough reward for everything I've done. If you think the people I've helped to scan have turned out to do good things, and by the way, I've managed to end up being better paid because of it. I make a good living when COVID-19 doesn't stop my work, that is comparable to anyone else in my profession. And I do that without having to, focus on the monetizing of things. I make sure when I negotiate for my work, but my work is my treating of patients, my seeing of patients. The scanning side, the teaching side of it for me is, and I always took the perspective that to teach well ultrasound, it has to be, you can't sell it to the masses. Not because I would, but it doesn't have it. It's a very individual thing, and to do it well, certainly at the moment, you have to do that. And if I get paid a lot of money per hour to show some videos, that doesn't represent value for money in terms of the time it takes to have done all this. Where I get paid for that is that trying to do all that has made me good at what I'm doing, and I get paid for being good at what I'm doing. And that's my business model. It isn't that I don't have a business model, but my business model is teaching has made me much better, and collecting stuff has made me much better at what I do than I would be otherwise. So that's why I'm not automatically looking to monetize it. It's because it sounds grand, like the Googles of this world. It's you do something the very best you can, and it will pay you back. Is kind of my perspective. Now, if I get paid more, that's good, but I wouldn't plan automatically to make a dime out of it, because say like your businesses, I'm sure they run on your good reputation, on your acumen for doing a good job every time.
Yeah, word of mouth.
And that's what and you drive it, and you make good business choices along the way. The ultrasound doesn't pay putting a probe on, though it can. It pays from how it makes the whole system work, and that's what I feel inside.
I'm fine with that, John. And again, I don't want to cheapen a good heart. I don't want to be dumb either. And if there's a way that we can deliver education with clarity and value, and it meets that need, and somehow, like you say, as a secondary function, there can be revenue returned, so be it. If
Yeah.
not, there's going to be a library of valuable stuff. I appreciate the time with you, birthday boy. And
That's right.
do you actually play the sax there behind you?
In the last, since COVID-19, that's been one of the bonuses, because it hasn't been out of its case in sort of more than once a year, and I get to play it every day at the moment, which is why it's out.
Why? Briefly give me a flicker into your music background, John. Do you have that as a natural talent, or does it represent years and years of practice? Because you.
No, I just like music. I like playing. I'd rather play than listen to it.
Wow.
So I don't listen to music routinely, but if I've got a spare half hour or 20 minutes, I'd love to just sit on the saxophone and play it. But I don't really have any education on it, so I just play.
Every day I see how much you occupy of that which I would aspire to, and I value from our friendship, John. I will let you go so that you can go and what is it, an hour and 15 minutes. I won't be that long next time, and have the best of birthdays tomorrow.
I will.
All righty. Tell your wife thanks again.
Too. And thanks for calling. I'll speak to you later.
All right.
When's our next meeting? When are we doing this again?
You tell me. I'm still. It's going to be another week to 4 weeks that we have where my schedule is wide open. You're a priority to me because knowledge is a priority to me, and you're a wealth of that right now.
Yeah. So if it's going to be before the end of next week, then it probably needs to be Monday.
Let's do Monday. If you're Monday at noon, I'm on it, buddy.
Okay.
We'll see you then.
See you Monday.
All right.
I'll let you know if there's a problem, but plan to see you on Monday.
Sounds great. Take care.
Okay. Catch up later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. How do I do?